Wellen Park is known as one of the fastest growing areas in the United States, and it's right here at the south end of Sarasota County. Now, Wellen Park is considered a master plan community because it's a mixture of both residential and commercial. So it's kind of like play where you live where you play attitude, sort of like Lakewood Ranch. I don't think it'll get quite that large, but that's the idea that they're going for. That's the ultimate goal. So in this video, I'm going to share with you a lot of good things that you need to know about Wellen Park so you can make a good choice to decide whether or not it's a fit for you. I'll share a couple things that people are usually surprised to learn, and I'll share with you one or two things that honestly, I'm not a fan of, but it doesn't mean that it's not okay for you. So it's just, again, up for you to decide. Hi, I'm Jill Thomas, and each week I bring new videos about what it's like to live here in the beautiful Sunshine State. I like to talk about the Sarasota Bradenton area, of course, in particular, and then real estate. Of course. So if maybe making a move to this area has been on your radar, or if you're thinking about making a change within the area, then this just might be a good channel for you to hit that subscribe button for, hit the notification bell, and then keep on watching. But then when you have more questions, when you're ready to take it to the next level, then please give me a call, text, or email me. My contact information is below in the description, and don't be shy about doing it. Sometimes people will tell me that they put it off calling me just because they weren't sure. And maybe their spouse is like, no, call her. And then they do. And of course we connect and it's all good. So please do that. If I'm able to pick up the phone when you call, I certainly try to do that, if I'm not with customers or already on the phone, but I'm certainly here to help you out. Okay, so Wellen Park was actually called the West Villages for the longest time. And then all of a sudden I start to see marketing materials that talk about Wellen Park, and I'm like, what's that? Because it was just for years and years. It was the West Villages, or I'd have customers asking me about it. I'm like, why are they calling it that? Why are they calling it Wellen Park? Well, what it is now is Wellen Park is the broad name for it, and the West Villages is one of 3 districts that's within Wellen Park. Now, the West Villages has nothing to do with the Villages, if you're familiar with that community, which is a large master plan community in the middle of the state, north of Tampa and even north of Orlando. And again, that's a huge, just 55 plus area. And there's rumors and stories about things about the Villages. It's nothing like the West Villages at all. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'll let you Google it, because I don't want to mention it here in this video because it'll either make you chuckle or blush. So that's on you to look that up. But anyhow, it has nothing to do with Wellen Park. But here we go. Here's 5 things you need to know about Wellen Park. Number 1, location. As I already mentioned, Wellen Park is located at the south end of Sarasota County. Now, often people kind of get a little confused on what does that mean exactly. So in Sarasota County, going north to south, we have the following towns. We have Sarasota, of course, Nokomis, Osprey, then Venice, then Northport, and a little bit of Englewood. So all of that is part of Sarasota. Now, if you were to Google Wellen Park, you're going to see results like Wellen Park, new communities in Venice, Florida. But here's the trick with all of that. Technically, most of Wellen Park is in Northport. It's in the Northport city limits. I think that a lot of it still has a Venice mailing address, but it's really Northport. So for whatever reason, Northport drew the short end of the stick on this one. And on occasion, I have a little confusion with people because in my mind, when I think Wellen Park, I think Northport because I know the technicalities of it. I mean, I remember Wellen Park before anything was really there. I mean, there was just nothing down there. And so in my mind, I just know Northport. But because of the way they market it, people are like, oh no, I want to live in Venice. And so I'm thinking other areas. And then they're like, well, what about Wellen Park? It's like, oh, okay, gotcha. So I've learned to, now that I understand that that's how people are seeing that and reading that, I've adjusted how I communicate with folks. But for a little while there was some confusion with that. Then I've actually been in some of the new construction communities where I'm talking to the sales agent and they'll go, well, we're technically in Venice. Those other ones are in Northport. And it's like, oh, don't be so smug, So poor little Northport, but it's all good. It's all Wellen Park and it's all, run the same no matter which section you're in. Now, besides just saying it's at the south end of the county, really the bulk of it is off of 41 or Tamiami Trail. And if you want to talk like a local, you can also say the trail. And then parts of it's also off of River Road. Now, as I already shared with you, the West Villages is one of the districts in Wellen Park. So right now it's just West Villages, the downtown district, and the Playmore district. There's residential in both the West Villages and the Playmore district, and there's a little bit of commercial in Playmore as well. And who knows with the downtown district if there's going to be maybe some mixed-use properties there. I'm not really sure what the ultimate goal is. I wasn't able to find like long-range plans for the area, but that's the way it stands right now. So there's those 3 districts within Wellen Park. Number 2, the homes. Okay, so there's maybe 3 communities that have been there for 10 years or so. It's Lakewood National, and there's a golf course. It's a golf course community, and some sections of Lakewood National, no, not Lakewood, Sarasota National. Depending on what sections of Sarasota National you're in, you may or may not be required to be a member of the golf course. And then there's also Island Walk and Grand Paradiso. So they've been down there a long time. Now, I sold a property in Island Walk back in 2015. So 7 years ago, we closed on that. And at that point, that whole area was just like nothing. Everybody felt super isolated. It was a little hard to sell in that area at the time. And part of it too is because those communities had actually been there for a while before the recession. They started building, and then things, went south and it really slowed down. So even when those folks bought back in 2015, it was really just starting to come back around and build up again. So it felt kind of awkward being down there. But now, of course, these people are thrilled that they bought there because they got it at a great price. And now they've got these wonderful amenities all around them. Now, currently, I think there's about 12 different types of residential communities down there. And depending on which one you're in, most of them are single family homes, but there might be some villas or attached villas and a few condos in some of the communities. But right now, the bulk of it is definitely single family homes. Now, I do get a lot of calls from people who are looking to keep their purchase price at like around $400 or even slightly below, or maybe they can push it and go a little over. I'm going to be honest with you. Right now in Wellen Park, that's a tough one. I can't say it's impossible, but especially if you need a larger property, that's really going to be hard right now. And then the other thing with Wellen Park is there are definitely CDD fees, and each community does have HOA dues. Now, CDD fee stands for Community Development District. And if you're not familiar with that, I made a whole video on that, which I can put the link for that below. But, basically you're just paying for getting all the infrastructure out there. Like I said, that was like no man's land for the longest time. So, you've got to be able to, they've got a new fire station there. They're going to have to build more schools, widen roads, do the landscaping, put in street lights, all that stuff. Somebody's got to pay for that. So guess what? You get to do it. So that's what the CDD fees go for. See, I can't even say it sometimes. People talk to me and they're embarrassed because they trip over the words, and it's like, boop, I do it all the time. So that's okay. Now, those CDD fees do run maybe between $900, $1,600, $1,700 a year. There was one property I saw where it was $2,200 for the year. So, and you pay it along with your property taxes. So you pay that once a year. And then the HOA dues will definitely fluctuate from community to community because it depends on how many amenities there are, depends on how many properties are in there to share and cover the load for all those expenses. Number 3, amenities. Now, each association is going to have its own set of amenities, what they offer to the residents. So it could be, just something as simple as a nice swimming pool and a clubhouse. There could be golf. There's 1 or 2 communities like Sarasota National is one of those golf course communities. Some will have fitness center, full-time activity director with lots of things going on and a full and busy calendar. So depending on what kind of lifestyle you want, then you can maybe choose one community over another just because of that. And I do believe all of the communities have at least an electric gate, but quite a few of them have a guard out front as well. So if you like that feeling of safety, if it's going to be a second home, people really do appreciate having that extra layer of security. Not that that's a bad area or a dangerous area, but it's just still nice to have that to keep, people just driving through for kicks. Now, if let's say your community where you live doesn't have as many amenities as another one, you just can't jump over to a different community and use their fitness center or take advantage of some of the events and things they have going on. Unless you've got a friend that lives there, then you can go along with them. But each association has its own, and that's all you're allowed to use. As I mentioned, Wellen Park is a master plan community, so there's a lot of commercial going in right now, and it's still really growing. It's not everything is there. So right there's a Publix, which is great that you don't have to go far for that. There's actually this frozen yogurt shop right there, and so the folks that bought that property in Island Walk back in 2015 that I mentioned, they own that. So that's kind of fun. I forget the name of it. I should have looked it up. But anyhow, I could even just drop a link to that below just so you can see that. And if you go in and talk to the owner, you just say, hey, I was watching Jill on YouTube and she told me about your yogurt shop. So that would be kind of cool. And then besides all that, the really big drawing card is the Atlanta Braves spring training facility, which is called the Cool Today Park because the air conditioning company Cool Today is, sponsored that or paid for it or however that works. So if you're really into baseball, then that's a nice thing to have right there in your backyard. Number 4, let's talk about some of the extras. These are the sort of questions I get from people like, hey, how far away is? So right there in Wellen Park, which has been there actually for a really long time, is a branch of SCF, State College of Florida, which was formerly MCC, Manatee Community College. So just like MCC does, it is a community college. It's a 2-year school, or maybe you can pick up some other license and take some classes there. So that's really nice because even if, let's say, hey, I'm not a college student, you could go there, maybe take a photography class or something like that just for fun. So it is right there off of 41 in the middle of all of that. So that's pretty neat, I think. Sarasota Memorial Hospital also has plans to put some type of facility there. I'm not sure how extensive that is, but not too far away in Northport, there is a emergency center, an outpatient facility affiliated with Sarasota Memorial Hospital, and the hospital also just opened up a new branch that's very extensive on Laurel Road and Pine Brook or Honore, because when you're coming south down in Sarasota, if you're familiar with this, once it hits Laurel, the name changes to Pine Brook. So it's right there at that intersection. And that's about 15 minutes away. I threw that in the Google Maps to see how long it would take you to get there. So there's not a hospital too far away, which I think is very nice. And then in terms of airports, of course, you've got the Sarasota Bradenton Airport. There's actually a smaller airport in Punta Gorda, which isn't too far away. And then you can also go down to Fort Myers or up to Tampa, depending on where you need to go. So there's actually 4 airports that aren't terribly far away from where you're at. Number 5, the pros and cons. So let's talk about the pros first. Of course, it's beautiful. Everything's new. You drive into these communities and some of the entrances are so grand. Some of them are a little bit more simple as well, but just really pretty. They're doing a nice job with the landscaping, especially off of 41. So that's really quite lovely. And then there's also great opportunity as more things continue to build. Really, the sooner you buy down there, I think the better. I'm not saying this as trying to be salesy, but if things continue to grow, the demand is going to be even higher down there as people start to appreciate what's going to be offered. So I think that there's still some opportunity in the area. Now let's talk about the cons. And honestly, this is the one thing that I personally don't care for so much, but obviously there's a ton of people moving there, so they seem to be okay with it. But like I said, everything is off of 41 or Tamiami Trail. That's a busy road. There's 2 lanes going north and south on that, plus the middle turning lane. And there's only a couple places where there's a stoplight. There's one that was originally right there because Island Walk and Grand Paradiso is right across from each other. So there's a light right there. I think there's a light that goes into the Publix, but for the most part, most of those residential communities, when you're coming or going, you've got to pull out onto 41. And if you have to pull left, it's just a little bit more dangerous. That kind of drives me batty. And I think there's sections of it right there on 41 where maybe they'll add some more landscaping in time, but I just don't find it to be super attractive. Now, again, those are personal preferences. I'm not saying this is the end of the world type of stuff, but this is just what I see and what people are telling me. So as always, I just kind of like to shoot straight with you. If you say, oh my goodness, Jill, I don't care about that. I love it there. Great, let's go look. But that's just how I like to do my business, is just kind of share everything with you as I see it. And then you can do with it that information whatever you want. And then of course, another con is really those carrying costs, because depending on where you're at, the HOA dues and the CDD fees can get a little steep, especially if you're in the golf course community and you have to pay for the golf. It's pretty expensive to live there and do that. Now, if you really enjoy golf, that's great. Maybe, you'll definitely get your money's worth, but just have to be mindful of that. And really consider what you are getting for the money that you're spending. Okay, so what do you think of Wellen Park? Is it what you expected from what I've shared with you so far? And sometimes this is just one of those things you got to be here and experience it for yourself. Either people really love it or they really are like, yeah, no, there's other areas I think I'd rather explore. So again, all personal preference really when it comes down to it. And if you all are already familiar with Wellen Park, what did I miss out on? What do you think people need to know? It's okay if it's negative, positive, whatever. Drop it in the comments below. Or maybe I just forgot to mention something very obvious that's a nice benefit about the area. Sometimes in spite of me driving around and knowing the areas and Googling things and all that stuff, I do miss out on some key things here and there. So I don't feel bad for that. Drop it in the comments below so it really does help folks. Now again, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button. That would be fantastic. And again, give me a call. I am here to help you out. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much for watching.